Good morning, everyone. This is John with Gun.Deals. Today, we're going to be talking about the new, unreleased, no idea when it's coming out, Primary Arms GLX 1X Prism. Now, before we get into that, go ahead and tend to the algorithm farm down below. Full disclosure on this optic is that Primary Arms did send this to me for free. I did not pay for it whatsoever, and I've actually had this for about a month at this point. Now, if you aren't familiar with the Primary Arms Prism lineup, they have a SLX, Silver, 1, 3, and 5X model with all of the ACSS reticles you could possibly hope for. Actually, probably too many to be fair. Now, here we have the GLX Gold 1X Prism. I don't think these are launching until September or something. I don't have any idea. Now, while on the outside, this might seem very similar to the older SLX Prisms, upon closer inspection, it's really similar to the SLX 1X Prism. It utilizes the same ACOG mini mounting platform and comes with like 6 different risers that you can combo together for just about any height or platform that you could possibly put this thing on. The cantilever sections themselves will bend, however, if the optic takes a hard enough hit. I've had that happen twice now. While size and weight are very similar, the GLX body is actually slightly larger. The rear ocular section has been enlarged by about 10 to 15%, and the objective diameter is also incrementally larger. One of the common meaningless complaints about the SLX Prism was that the turrets were in 1 MOA increments. On the newer GLX model, we now have the more desirable half MOA increments. Turrets are still exposed, but they are very easily adjusted with a casing, screwdriver, or a variety of impromptu tools in a pinch. The biggest change on the body, though, is the removal of the side rotary dial / battery tray on the SLX line in favor of a much more low-profile battery compartment in front of the elevation dial. In lieu of a rotary knob, we now have 2 low-profile rubber buttons for adjusting the brightness as desired. This means that while the body is slightly larger, it actually obstructs less of your vision because the rotary dial isn't placed directly in front of your eye anymore. So that, in conjunction with the larger glass, both front and back, means that you get a much more pleasing sight picture than the old SLX line. Now, talking about the glass itself, this is a little bit subjective, and it does seem to be technically better, but it's not a huge improvement over the previous SLX option. One of the downsides of removing the older rotary dial is that there is some vampiric drain with the new rubber buttons versus the mechanical switch, but don't ask me why that is, that's just what I was told. Battery life is still rated at a really long time, and comboed with the auto on, auto off technology, you shouldn't be changing the batteries out more than twice a year at most, unless this is something that you commute with. Now, brightness really hasn't changed. Mine is the green version, and it gets more than bright enough for direct sunlight. They say it has night vision settings, but I can promise you that those are 100% useless, as you can't passive aim through a prism to begin with, and they also are way too bright, so the night vision settings, quote unquote, it's just something to put on a spec sheet and that's it. The reticle is mostly unchanged from the previous version of the ACSS Cyclops. In the center, you have a chevron that is big enough to see, while fine enough to use out to several hundred yards without issue. Around that, you have the horseshoe for your fast acquisition stuff and some ranging features as well. Underneath the reticle, you also have more height and width ranging, which is nice to see, but at the distances in which you would probably deploy a 1X Prism, that is probably still within your maximum point-blank range, which means just put the chevron on the target and pull the trigger. Talking about usability shortly, it is a 1X Prism, meaning it's really easy to get a good image through it. Now, even though Primary Arms for some reason keeps telling people that it has a infinite eye relief, that is completely useless. Who cares if you can see through it from 20 feet away? That's just marketing nonsense. This is not a true 1X optic. It uses a bunch of glass to approximate a 1X image. The closer or further away from your eye that the optic gets, the more the image changes. So for me, I have it about in the middle of my upper receiver, as that gives me the best, closest approximation of a 1X image. I would absolutely recommend playing around with the positioning and seeing what looks the most natural to you. Now, from what I've heard, pricing is about $30 to $40 more expensive than the SLX model, which means that there is now never a reason to pick up the SLX model as soon as the GLX launches. Now, maybe they will drop the price of the SLX model after launch to make it more competitive with the newer option, or maybe you just really want that rotary dial. Again, the glass is slightly better, the body is slightly better, looking through the optic is slightly better, and it costs slightly more money. Not particularly exciting, but for the people out there already rocking a 1X Prism or thinking about trying one, this might be the one to try out. Now, I have actually ran some competitions with the older SLX 1X Prism back when I reviewed that, and I never really liked doing that. When I would run the same course back to back with the red dot, not only did I perform better with the red dot, but I was more confident with it as well, as the image is much more true to life. While the GLX is better than the old SLX, it's still not a red dot replacement. This is really for people who want or need that etched reticle, and again, something approximating 1X performance. If that happens to be you, then awesome, I don't have any complaints or issues with somebody picking this up. As a general purpose style optic, well, I have more issues with a 1X Prism. If I'm going with glass, usually I would prefer some sort of magnification, and if I can take it a 1X optic, then, I'll get a red dot or something that actually has a true 1X image and also potential for passive aiming capabilities. But that's about all that I have for this video, guys. Let me know what you think of the new GLX 1X Prism from Primary Arms, and of course, whenever this ends up launching 2 or 3 months after the video comes out. But until then, thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I will see you in the next one. Peace off. Interesting. Whoa! That gets hot. Sorry, let me get in focus. That gets hot. Whoa, buddy. Almost like it's all one piece. That gets hot. Whoa. That was not very many rounds. That thing is hot.